It's a well-known medrash. A person was walking and he sees a palace on fire. And he asks, goes, who owns this? Who owns this palace? Who owns this bira? And a voice calls out, and an individual answers, Ani bala bira. I'm the owner of this palace. And the medrash says that that's what Avram Avinu was looking around, and he sees this world. And he sees everything which is going on. He realized there had to be something more. There had to be something bigger. There had to be someone that was mashkiach, that was in control of this entire universe. And he said, Mi bala bira. Who is this bala bira? Who's the owner? Who's running it all? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu made contact with Avram Avinu, and he answered, Ani bala bira. I am the owner. I'm the master of the universe. I'm the one in charge. And when you develop such a clarity, when you develop an understanding, this idea of now I know who's running it. Now I know that there's a hashkacha that behooves an individual to start emulating that who's created this world. The one who's in charge of us. Make sure that we ourselves act in a way that he would want. Mahu racham afatar racham. The midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is our job. It's our tafkid in the world to do the same. When Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim, they were so close to the Rebbeinu Shalom, so close to God. They said, Zeh Keli Vanveyo. They're able to point and say, Zeh Keli. This is my Rebbeinu Shalom. This is the one in charge. Va'anveyu. It was Mechayev. It obligated us for Anivahu. That the same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one way, we have to be the same way as well. Mahu racham afatar racham. The midas of the Rebbeinu Shalom, the midas of the Eibishter, we have to make sure that we keep the same. If he's compassionate, we're compassionate. If he is the midah of emes, we have to have the midah of emes. So we understand it in a sichliistic way, in an intelligent manner. We get it. We know the Rebbeinu Shalom. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge. We know we have to emulate his ways. So what stops us? What prevents us from having the ability to interact with others in some way the Rebbeinu Shalom would, kaviyachol? And the teretz is a mashal which perhaps I've once given, is how they train a cat in a circus to dance. And they put a cat on a hot plate. And they have someone playing the music. And as they turn up the heat of the hot plate, someone starts playing. And as they turn down the music, they turn the hot plate off. Turn it on, music goes on. And so on and so forth until the cat understands that every single time the music goes on, there's heat underneath his feet and he just starts jumping. And then after a while, all you need is just the music playing and you don't need the hot plate anymore. Because just the thought of the music already gets him starting to dance. And unfortunately, I think we look at our lives, so many a time we're the same way. The music starts playing and we just start dancing. A certain activity, something presents ourselves, we're just by impulse, by reflex. We just act without the seichel involved, without our intelligence. It's just our movements, however we've been grown up, whatever our DNA was, whatever our cultural, environmental experiences were. That's how we are. We just say, it is who it is. I am who I am. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us in this week's Parshat, Lech Lecha, me'artzecha, me'mladetcha, me'beis avicha. From your upbringing, from your DNA, from your environmental effect that they've had on you, from any influences that you've had in the past, there's no excuse. Lech Lecha, l'tayvascha la'noscha, for your own good, forge your own path. Make yourself the person you're supposed to become, as the Goyin says, the ikar tafkid in the world, for an individual is to perfect one's midas, to perfect what you're supposed to become, to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to emulate his ways, to look at a midah of what we're supposed to be, not the way we perceive emes, not the way we perceive zrizus, but rather we perform with an alacrity, or we deal with truth the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu feels it's the case. That's the limud that we're supposed to be taking when we look at the Parsha of Lech Lecha. It's a going of sorts. It's a shlichus. Avram Avinu understood. He got the clarity from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who owns this world, who runs it. He understood in the sign of Lech Lecha. And then I feel, as the Svarim asks, what's the two Lech Lechas? There's a Lech Lecha over here, and then there's a Lech Lecha by the Akedah. How do you compare the Lech Lecha, the Nitzayah, the test of sacrificing one's own son for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to this Nitzayah of just leaving your land? But the teretz is, I feel that you can't have that second Lech Lecha without the first Lech Lecha. You can't just come one moment and say, oh, I'm giving up my son's life. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said something, therefore I'm going. It has to be from a lifelong journey. First you deal with the Lech Lecha in the small way. in the seemingly insignificant ways, which is that we emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ways. We think first, we stop for a moment and say, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from me right now? When we emulate His ways, when we look to try to copy HaKadosh Baruch Hu, imitate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to say, what am I supposed to do right now? We stop for a moment, we think, oh, that's what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. He's the one running this world. I have such clarity, I'm not just going to go by instinct, by impulse. I'm going to listen to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. When you live life that way, you can reach the point which you never have to. We can reach the point of even sacrificing one's own child for Rebbeinu Shalom, because his whole life is one shtick. Eibishter is living all for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we live life that way, we develop that clarity, that tremendous simcha that we have. And we have that entire nisayon that we realize when we go through our own Lech Lecha. All the journeys and the challenges that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts through our way, we'll realize it's all a tayvascha ul hanascha. It's all for our own good. And when we realize that our whole lives, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, that's ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. That's living with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, serving Hashem with that clarity, with that tremendous simcha. May we all be zoicha as we go through our Lech Lecha. And in a small way we learn Parshat Lech Lecha, we take this limud into our lives, and we realize all the toiv and all the hana that connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us in our daily interactions. Have a wonderful Shabbos.